but we certainly are going to get our share of heat today. I don't know how the spongy caterpillars are affecting folks. They're certainly here, munching away, and hopefully this is the last big year of them. But the frost was a little sobering too. I don't know if folks had experience with that, but we certainly had a lot of trees get badly shocked by that. Most of them are coming back, but they are coming back slowly and will certainly be affected by it this year at least. I did read that a lot of large established orchards and vineyards have been really badly affected for the year. So there's going to be a major economic impact of that 3-hour period that we had a couple of weeks ago. Pretty interesting. And I guess the motto is, whether it's the lack of rain, sponges, or the frost, resilience and perseverance, which is all we can do. And I think that's a good lesson in what we're doing with climate as well, in general. Is we're, as I pick a tick off the back of my neck, there's another one. So that's what we're here for. I think we're going to have a short meeting today. Our agenda is not very large, and we're in the process of a few projects, but we're missing a couple people who couldn't make it, but sent their regrets. Ron and Brenda are two of the folks that couldn't make it, but we've been in touch with them on some key projects. But let's jump on in. We want to take attendance. I don't know if Maureen is on, and
I am.
Okay, great. Thanks, Maureen. And then we'll do the minutes.
I have, you just mentioned two people. I have Supervisor Knott. Was it Supervisor Hotling too? Wasn't able, I didn't catch the last word. Was she not
no,
able
it's
to make it?
Adams. That's what Brenda Adams.
Oh, Adams. Okay, thank you. And Jolene Race, she won't be able to make it. She notified, but Don will report for her.
Right.
Okay, let's see. I have John Bradley, Supervisor Collins, Dan Haas, Supervisor Hotling, Tara Humphrey, Claudia Kenny. Let's see. Wendy Madsen.
I'm here.
Wendy here? Okay, thank you. Michael O'Hara. I have Patrice here, Jennifer Phillips here, Steve Powers here, Jody Rail. Okay. Those are all the members.
Okay.
Did you get me? It's Bruce. Did you get me, Marie?
Bruce, yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't hear. Sorry.
And Susan Slam.
Did you get Susan and Bill as well?
Let's see. Yes, Susan, I have you.
And I'm not sure if you're taking full attendance, but I'm here, Audrey Kropp with Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Yes, I have you marked down. Christina Bozak, is she here by any chance? I know Audrey was planning on coming, so. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, great. So
Tara
minutes.
just arrived.
Hi, Tara. Thanks for joining. Minutes. There was one comment that Maureen got. It was very minor about the attendance list, which she corrected. Any other comments on the minutes? If not, we'll take a motion in a second to approve them. And anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve. Steve Powers.
Stephen Bill, Stephen Bill, Steve Powers, Bill Mancini. Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, speak up now. Okay, record show all in favor. And Christina just joined as well. Hi, Christina. Thanks for joining. And that's good timing, Christina, because you're up. We're your topic. So we wanted just to touch base on the clean heating, cooling, and efficiency campaign, and then we're going to move to an update with Audrey next. And these, we imagine these are pretty quick updates. I'm not sure how much there is to report. So, but it's an opportunity for members to ask questions and figure out if there's anything we need to do at this point in terms of next steps. So Christina, why don't you take it away if you're ready?
So yeah, the campaign is kind of plugging along. We're up to 35 installs in the county as a whole. A lot of those are actually multiple installs at the same properties, which is pretty cool, but they count as 35 unique projects. But I mean, I think there was one that got 9 different components in different buildings on one property, which is pretty great. So we're having really good saturation. There's a new company that's about to start spray foaming trailers, and I know they have about 6 projects coming up in the Hudson Trailer Park. So that's just awesome. I think that'll be really helpful to the county as a whole in the low-income community. And also, because of the success of this campaign, Catskill wants to start their own campaign. So we're spreading on into green, which is pretty great. We have an event coming up at the Valatia Library, scheduled for June 24th. And we're also in talks with some other municipalities about some things later in the summer and the fall for different individual town things. And then maybe we'll do another countywide Zoom in the fall, depending on interest.
That's great, Christina. Do you have information yet on the details for the Valatia Library event that we can send out to folks?
Yes, I believe that they're making a poster, and I can send it to you when they do, but it will be 2:30 to 4 at the Valatia Library on June 24th.
Okay, great. So I'll definitely send that to Michael, are you on, by the way? Michael O'Hara? If not, Marie, we should send that when we get the poster. Let's send it out to the EMC. And then folks, please get the word out, especially for folks in the northern part of the county. Steve.
Yeah, that'll be a good one too. We'll have someone from Cornell Cooperative Extension, Albany County with me as well, who will be doing kind of the energy advisement component. So that'll be a
nice. Good. Steve.
Christine, I was just going to ask, can you send us the details about this other company that does trailer parks?
Yes. Yep.
Great.
It's we've been working with them a lot. They're not a Heat Smart contractor per se, because we don't have insulation contractors on that campaign, but this is True Building Performance, which works a lot with the Radiance store.
That's the name of it, True Building?
True Building Performance. Yeah, and I can email that to you, Steve.
Great, thanks.
That's great. Thank you. Tara.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention from a Clean Energy Communities program perspective, there are no grants left in the queue for small communities. Canaan was able to snag one of the last ones. I don't see Supervisor Adams on the call right now, but they were able to get one, and they were kind of doing their own thing as well as working with Christina and Heat Smart. So they were tracking there and did get the 5. But we are hearing that NYSERDA is going to be updating this with more money any day now. So
any day now, any day I hear.
We'll keep you all posted as soon as we hear, because I do, and I genuinely do think this is going to happen, because I think they've just seen a lot of interest in these campaigns. So so yeah, let's wait for that.
And will that be retroactive too?
Yes, that's what
Okay,
they've told us. Well, we had to lobby hard for that, because we didn't feel it would be fair to kind of skip over those communities that kind of missed out on this round. So
yeah, thank you for that lobbying, Tara.
Always.
Great. Okay. Anything else for Christina or regarding the energy efficiency campaign? Okay, let's move along. Audrey, you're up. Hi. Up, you're muted.
Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to give you a quick update on where we're at with the climate adaptation and resilience planning process. We have begun holding meetings with individual municipalities to review their existing plans and codes and policies for climate resilience. using our climate smart resiliency planning tool. It's essentially a host of yes/no questions we roll through, asking about vulnerabilities and assets and plans, integration. We also ask questions about hazard mitigation and on a couple of other topic areas. We ask like if your code enforcement officers have certain trainings and things like that. So we've held a couple of those now, and we're in the process of scheduling those out throughout the month of June. And we've also set a date for a public educational webinar that we're going to be holding at the end of June. That's June 28th from 12 to 1. It will be a recorded webinar as well. So, you know, it can be shared after the actual presentation. And that webinar is, as I mentioned, open to all the public of Columbia County, and it's intended to announce that, you know, the county and a slew of participating municipalities are going through the process. We're going to talk about what that process is and the steps in the process. And we'll also talk a little bit about climate change and effects. And it's also intended to announce the first survey that we're going to be sending out. It's a vulnerability assessment and story of place survey. So we're going to be asking questions about vulnerabilities and assets, and asking, you know, what folks value in their communities as well. And then we did kind of timeline out a few of the other steps that we're going to be taking, and we're going to be holding 2 workshops in 2 areas of the county. So it'll be ultimately 4 workshops in total. We're splitting the county in half, and we're going to be holding 2 workshops up in the kind of the northern half of the county, and 2 workshops down in the southern half, with kind of those municipalities existing in both of those areas participating. The first workshop is going to be again a vulnerability assessment workshop where, you know, we'll invite municipal and community stakeholders to go through a process of kind of developing a vulnerability assessment matrix. And then the second one is going to be a scenario planning workshop where we're going to be kind of envisioning, you know, possible futures, considering climate change effects, and developing ideas for kind of what are our top vulnerabilities, and then what adaptation strategies we want to consider recommending that are appropriate for our communities. And I have also, we are doing the planning tool with the county itself. So I have a meeting set up with Don and Patrice, and probably a couple of other folks they're going to invite that, you know, can provide us with the knowledge that we need. And I think that meeting I have set for the 15th of June. So is my main update. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out or ask them now.
Great, Jennifer.
So a couple of questions. One on when you say you're sending out a survey for the public, how will you be developing how do you have a list of who to send it to?
Well, we asked each municipality to fill out a leadership and process questionnaire. So we've asked each municipality has sent us the information of municipal stakeholders, as well as community stakeholders that we will directly send the survey to. But we're also going to be asking each municipality to post the survey on their websites. And we'll be looking to the libraries as well to post the survey. And we're working to try to develop a paper version that could be posted at, again, libraries, or brought to public events that, you know, might catch a lot of people. So we also asked that question of where and what events might be good places to have the survey. Obviously, farmers markets would be great. And a lot of communities have, community events throughout the summer. So our intention is that the survey will be out through the month of July. And of course, possibly we could move into August. It doesn't, not to have it out for a longer time. And I should mention also, once we go through those 2 workshops, we are intending to send out a second survey as well to have the community be able to provide input on prioritizing the adaptation strategies that are suggested and proposed, as well as, coming up with some ideas about if they have other ideas of adaptation strategies that, the municipality might want to consider, as well as asking some questions about like what a community visioning. So trying to develop a community vision with public input on that survey.
Great. Then the other question was, you talked about 2 workshops in the north and 2 workshops in the south.
Yes.
And is that like by the end of summer, or do you have a sense
Oh,
of?
I'm sorry. We intend actually to hold the first workshop in September and the second workshop in October.
Okay, so the first in each place in September and the first in each place.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is great, great amount of detail that and great to see how the process is structured. So thank you for the update. That was a question I had too. So when is the survey becoming available? The first survey, the vulnerability survey?
We are currently drafting it up right now. So we hope to have it by mid-June. And we can start doing that direct outreach with the survey in mid-June. And again, the public's webinar is intended to be kind of the announcement and launch of the survey out to the public. But we'll be working with the municipalities to get them set up to get it on their websites in the
Great.
meantime.
And
Yeah.
how long will the survey be open?
Well, we figured at least through the month of July, but if communities have an event that's occurring in August that they want to bring it to, there's no reason, we can't have the survey out longer.
Great.
The more, the better, really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. It's great that you have some flexibility. That's appreciated. We should put the survey on certainly on the CSC website as one of many places it can be located. John, you have a question?
Yes. I'm interested in sort of how other people have fared in the early outreach to the stakeholders and all. I've had this conversation some with Audrey and Anna, but I know myself and my colleague, we don't feel that's working on this. We don't feel we have a lot of information about what are the actual vulnerabilities that we want people to sort of focus on or might be likely to focus on. And I'm interested in how, so I suspect that this isn't entirely unique to Clabrook. So I'm just interested in how other people have engaged various stakeholders in being interested in this issue. If we had anyways, and I realize this might not be the place to have that discussion, but I know we have some things set up with Anna and Audrey next week. But in any case, it seems to me that it's a problem that we have in terms of reaching out into our community and the stakeholders who for the most part are, of course, volunteer electeds and don't have a lot of time, and many of which don't have a lot of knowledge about climate and ecosystems and things. Just that's sort of a general question that I'm not sure when the right time is to hope we're getting some of that feedback, but that's an issue that we're struggling with here in Clabrook.
Yeah, I could speak to that just a little bit, John. So that our intention with the public surveys was in hopes to have as broad of a representation as possible. So giving folks that are volunteering their time the chance to provide input when they get a chance, when they are able to, and as well. So that's why we actually we're trying to do 2 surveys, and as well we will be putting these plans out in draft for a public comment period. So folks will have an opportunity to input kind of at their own capacity on that front. And the public educational webinar is intended to kind of help frame the process and describe, the vulnerabilities and hazards faced to Columbia County specifically. So we're going to be presenting some of the quantitative data and maps in that educational webinar to help kind of set the foundation and lay out, what the process is and what we're trying to accomplish and what the goals are, in hopes of providing folks, the public in general, with the information on what kinds of information we want them to give us in the survey.
Great.
So that's again why we're having it as a recorded webinar as well. So we're hoping that can get out there. And John and I have also discussed developing a story map, which is like an interactive online map to also help, provide some background to people if they're interested in providing input.
Great. Thank you, Audrey.
Holders.
Yeah, no, this is good to hear all this information and know what's coming. Christina? Did you have?
Hey, thanks, Audrey. That's really helpful. We had our meeting yesterday at Germantown, and it was great. Just a little bit to speak to John's question, though, I would really recommend just thinking about what people in the town are concerned about anyway, and seeing if it links to climate rather than always leading with climate, because it can get jargony and people don't necessarily make that connection. So like in our town, we don't have municipal water, and most of our village businesses' wells are starting to run dry with these droughts, and nobody's thinking of that necessarily as a climate thing. They're thinking of it as a municipal infrastructure thing, and in fact, it's both. So just kind of gauging what people are most worried about in your town and seeing if there's a connection, I would say is a good place to start.
Right. And we, go ahead.
Oh, so if you were to have to write a little piece or the public paper, for example, then here are the 5 or 7 issues that appear to be most on people's mind. And how would they sort of take shape in Columbia County? What would those things be? I mean, you don't have to answer it now, but it seems to me I'm looking for something that I can go out to my community or talk to the town board or something and say, here's what other people are thinking and concerned about, and we want to know how you're thinking about it.
Right.
I mean, I've gone through that survey, and I'm hesitant to share it with any of the stakeholders that I'd like to involve in it, because I have to suck them into getting interested in it first.
Right.
And I think, anyways, so I'll just sort of leave it with that question, and maybe on Monday or sometime soon we can have that discussion of how do we start to communicate that aspect of it. I realize you're talking about some of that in these workshops later in June. But what you sort of my impression was that the expectation is that we will already have been involving these stakeholders before then.
Yes, well, at least as far as going through the Climate Smart Resiliency Planning Tool, which has a focus on the municipal, the municipality's plans and policies and processes. So it's a little more targeted on just the municipality's climate resilience and how it's serving the community in that way. And then the hope is that the survey will help try and get at the the feelings of the public on what your vulnerabilities are. And we do actually, as part of this meeting that we're holding, we are trying to have and spark that begin that discussion on vulnerabilities and what in individual communities are kind of your concerns or priorities, or both really. And I will say, interesting, Christina, on both sides of the coin, I have heard now twice that that water supply is actually surfacing as a concern. So even I worked with a community that does have municipal water supply, but they have wells, and they're actually concerned about extended droughts and water supply as well. So that one's rising to the top. I also, just because I have worked with some of your municipalities on these planning tools in the past, extreme heat has definitely been another concern, and that obviously is tied to drought as well.
Thank you. Susan.
Yes, just throw into the mix that it's an issue in Ankrum also, water, and we're addressing it or trying to address it and not finding solutions. So we did a planning tool, maybe not the super comprehensive one, but some initial one, maybe a year ago with Cornell. And I can't recall then, I don't recall then that it was thought of as a big issue, but now it is. So just want to throw that in.
Sure. Yeah, and also I should mention as well, even if a municipality already did do this planning tool, we're still planning to reach out and hold a meeting to at least review and possibly update the tool with whatever might have happened in the interim, as well as have that discussion on vulnerabilities and kind of begin that conversation.
Great. Well, there's a lot here, and I think being conversant in top of mind vulnerabilities, climate vulnerabilities, is a key part of communicating all of these issues and getting people to focus in on how climate change is impacting us, not in theoretical global ways, but in very local, tangible ways. So
Right.
the work is really important for adaptation, but it's also important for education and understanding, getting people to think more broadly about what climate change really means to them and what it really means to all of us. So thank you for this work. It's very important, and it's great to get that framework and how we're all going to be able to participate and encourage others to do the same. So anything else on the CARP? You're still calling it the CARP?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The bottom fish and
Right.
like okay. Let's move along. Climate Carnival update. I don't know, Dawn, if you want to, I can do it. I mean, Jolene's not on, but she did send an email yesterday, which I can reference. Just give people, I don't think Jolene is on, right?
No, she's not, but she sent me some info to relay.
Oh, she did? Okay, so why don't you go ahead?
So just a bullet list of things here. She asked for interest from last year's Climate Carnival committee members if they want to continue on and help out with the one in 2024. And so if anyone on here was on that committee last year or wasn't on the committee, just send Jolene an email and let her know you'd like to help us out with the planning. Even if it's just ideas, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Last time we met, we started out meeting every other month, and then when it got closer, we met every month online just to bounce ideas off of each other. So if you'd like to participate in that, send Jolene an email. I've reached out to Deb Castellano, Lucy Gardner, and Jonah Lisa Seklik, who were the three folks that helped us out with some of the PR and promotion parts of the Climate Carnival, just to see if they were interested in helping us out again with this one. Jolene's putting together a list of new food truck vendors. We're trying to increase the number of food trucks that we have in 2024. And we have last year's list, but I think there's a number of new food trucks that have come around. So we're going to try to put together again another comprehensive list and reach out to them. Around June 19th, we're going to send out a save the date email blast to everybody on our comprehensive email lists, just so everybody knows that we started, and we're going to contact some farmers markets to see if there's any interest. So one of the new ideas for vendors is to have a farmers market area somewhere on the fairgrounds. And I think we're just going to kind of doing a lot of things behind the scenes right now, but begin in earnest with promoting the event after Labor Day this year. That's our goal. So I think that's an update. Anything else, Dave?
No, but just to remind everyone, this is September 14th, 2024. So over a year away. The planning will start kind of in earnest in the fall, in September of this year. So we're just kind of getting some of our ducks in a row well ahead of time. It was really fun to participate in the planning, which I don't often say that kind of thing, but it really was. It was a good group of people. It was a great event. And I think this one will be even better from what we learned and the momentum we gained from that. It was a great turnout. I don't know how many people, I know a bunch of people were there on the call, but if you're interested in spending a little time, it's well worth the effort because the outcome is really exciting and it was fun to be a part of. Susan.
Yes, I just want to just agree with everything you just said, David, that it was such a worthy effort and a lot of fun. And I love, Don, I love the idea of the green market. Terrific.
Yeah. And I think the timing will be better. It was in August or July last year. It was in the middle of summer. It was fine, but a little bit hot. I mean, September 14th could be hot too, but it was also a time of year where people are traveling, whatever. So I think this kind of back to school period, September 14th, people are around. It should work well in terms of attendance too. Which was the thought behind it. John.
A question. Back when we did it last year, there was discussion about the timing, and we wanted to have it during the school year. And the implication was, or I think the specific discussion was, how do we get schools involved? I have no particular solution to that, but I was curious what the thinking is about getting schools and school-aged children involved in this. And it may be premature to even ask that question, but
it's a great question. I think that's why it's scheduled for September, not during the summer. I would encourage, John, you to join the committee and participate in that. But it's a great question that the committee will be taking on. That's why they have a year to plan this thing. So there'll be outreach to schools, I'm sure.
Gotcha.
And an effort to try to get clubs and other participants, science programs and others to really show up in a big way. Maybe if it's early enough in the planning, if the outreach occurs to science teachers, for example, at the local public schools, they could potentially build something into their curriculum, for students to actually participate in a meaningful way. And provide information to the public, that kind of thing, or service or what have you. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And if you're interested, curious, and you want it to be a great event on any of these fronts, please let Jolene know that you're going to show up and you're going to help out this time around. Not just you, John, but whoever's interested. So any other comments or thoughts on that right now? Okay, great. So moving along, we have current actions. We've got a few things we want to update folks on, get some quick feedback on. The first is the EV infrastructure, and Don has made some great progress with some feedback on his mapping exercise for the fast chargers. And basically in the folder that he forwarded the link to in the agenda that were sent out, and we can walk you through it. He created maps that look at 4 layers of relevance, the traffic flows, the electricity grid, local amenities, So that's really just looking at the map, Don using his, knowledge and looking at what businesses are where, knowing, on the ground, what's occurring, and parking. So like a place where you could actually put you could install it, people could come and they could park. Those are the 4 criteria. And he identified, what is it, a dozen or 10 top priority locations. Don, why don't you take it from here and you can walk us through it? And
Yeah,
maybe
well, I have a
here's
total,
some
I found a total of 20 spots that I was working with. I think 10 of them kind of rose to the top. And I will, let's see, I'll try to share this on the screen here. Present. Okay, so the first one is, this is all, can everyone see that?
Yeah, can you go bigger?
Yep. I will zoom in. Okay, or I have to scroll up and down a little bit so you can see.
Yeah,
the whole
that's
thing.
good.
Yeah,
That's
but
good.
these are, I identified 20. These are like the top 10, mainly based on traffic volume. That was sort of our cutoff point. And I did look a little bit deeper into the traffic. There was a little, I found out that the traffic information that I was using was a little quirky. It had multiple lines in the same place, and some were only measuring northbound versus both ways. So I had to clean that up a little bit. And so that's why some of this might look a little different to you, but obviously the highest traffic volume is I-90, with the Canaan B3 exit here being the, what I would consider the ideal DC fast charging location, just due to the fact that it's the highest volume and it's all through traffic, which is what you really want to try to capture with DC fast chargers. The limiting factor is that the grid is not very good in that spot. So Canaan B3, Rip Van Winkle Bridge also has some really high traffic volumes, over $15,000, 15,000 cars or trucks per day, annual average. The Route 9 corridor above Kinderhook, I think we've looked at most of this last month too.
Yep.
So this gives you a picture of the top 10 based on traffic volumes. And the other map I have here, let me see if I can open that one, if it'll show up, is the grid capacity. So again, where those places overlap, green is good grid capacity, over 1.5 megawatts remaining. Yellow is sort of in between, but I will note that the Canaan B3 exit is, if you look deeper into the data, it is right on the 600 kilowatt hour capacity end of the spectrum. And so, my limited knowledge of the grid capacity and these charging station requirements is, you install a bank of 3 200 kilowatt charging stations, which I think is pretty average now. They're all between 150, 250 kilowatt capacity charging stations. You get 3 cars charging up on those 3 stalls. That takes the entire rest of the grid's capacity right there, if you have 3 cars charging at the B3 exit at the same time. So that's, I think, the main limiting factor of the Canaan B3 area.
Yep.
Yep.
No, you can keep going. I just want to remind everyone that these files are in that folder that people have access to. And there's also a table which lists these out, so you can see more information about what Canaan B3 is, for example. And then you can kind of use Google Maps to zoom in and really see what these locations are. One thing I was going to just say on the low end of the spectrum, there might be interest from the utilities to upgrade if there's a lot of focused attention. And also there is an opportunity to use batteries. I know some of the installers have talked about using batteries in order to buffer some of the usage. Now, I don't know how much more expensive that becomes and how feasible that is, but I know that's a potential option. Go ahead, Don.
All right, I'm gonna try to share I'll try to share that spreadsheet. too.
So as you're doing that, I'll just give a quick update on some of the other things that we're thinking of. Well, go ahead. You can just do this first.
All right, so here's a spreadsheet again to list those 10 locations that we've identified as the top. Again, grid capacity at the Canaan B3 exit, 600 kilowatts, which is right on the edge of the middle. Everything else looks pretty good. Rip Van Winkle Bridge, traffic counts over nearly 16,000, which is actually pretty close to the Canaan B3 exit. So that gets a lot of traffic there. Limiting factor there is, where do we put the charger? I think really the only real location for the Rip Van Winkle Bridge approach is in that state parking lot at the roundabout. I don't see any other, no other ideal location to install these. So that would be, something we have to talk to the state about. You could put it up on Olana, but that's off of 9G. It's a trip. So I don't know what just some thoughts here.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to go into like a deep dive analyzing each one of these locations right now, but this is a really great tool and now refined list, which we can use to take it to the next step, which is a couple different things. One is Supervisors Knott and Adams have reached out to Mike Tucker at the CEDC, the Economic Development Organization in the county, and they are organizing a call with utilities to analyze these locations and look at what opportunities there might be to provide information to private landowners. As we've said before, this is the type of thing which is likely to happen through a private deal, meaning that the municipalities, at least the county, are not likely to be actively involved, but we're trying to support the awareness, the focused attention on these high priority areas so that it's done well, and also then educate those local municipal leaders and the owners of these properties and the businesses there as to what the real, specific opportunities might be for them. There's still a lot of money available for this infrastructure, and there are plenty of incentives for folks if it's the right spot and they have the right perspective. It could benefit their business. It could benefit their location. Not only, we talk about these annual average daily traffic totals. They're relevant, super relevant. That's the current traffic, but putting one of these in a key location with amenities and parking could actually drive economic development and traffic, as we've talked about in the past. So it's pretty exciting. And Don and I will be reaching out to the municipal leaders in these towns, focusing on these towns to share this information and further the conversation with them about outreach to individuals that fall within the sweet spots on the map. So that's kind of where we're going with it. And then ultimately, when we identify interest and people have identified interest, we'll do our best to connect them with whatever resources they need in terms of installers and other information. Susan. You might be muted, Susan.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Our committee has one of the things we're interested in is putting EV chargers there's two local establishments where traffic comes to, people sit down for lunch. So we thought they'd be good locations. One of the businesses has already expressed interest in having an EV charger. These are not locations that would ever make Don's list. I mean, they're not high enough traffic, but for our town, they're significant. And so I'm just wondering, I guess on this call is not the right place, but perhaps our committee leadership could join one of the EV charging meetings and see how we could pursue the best way to pursue that, what the pitch is. Is there a way to do it so there's no cost to the establishment? Do we need the utility involved? Can the business do the upgrade on its own, the electrical upgrade if required? I mean, there's so many questions. Do we need to have an easement, some kind of easement to, who owns these chargers? I mean, it sort of gets complicated fast. So, but we'd love to do it. So if there's some suggestions as how we might gain from what the county's learned so far, this committee's learned so far, that'd be great.
Yeah, I know that these are all really important questions, Susan, and I think there's been experience in the county. I know that Supervisor Collins in Chatham has, expressed some of these kind of his experience and their experience there from the first generation of chargers. I think the first thing is distinguishing between the fast chargers that we're really after here in this project, which we lack in the county and which are key to kind of long-term infrastructure build out, and a lower volume, a lower kind of target area, maybe a lower priority area, perhaps what you're thinking, which is still important, but might not justify the hundreds of thousands of dollars for a fast charger, especially if it's not being used, or if it's used periodically, it can be extremely expensive because the demand charges. So those areas might be more suitable for level 2 chargers that charge 30 miles of battery charge per hour, let's say, instead of filling up your whole battery pack in less than an hour, from 0 to 90% in 45 minutes, which is what a fast charger would do, or getting in 15 minutes a boost of 50% of your battery so you can continue your trip. That's what this exercise is all about. So there's two different categories that I think are important to keep in mind. And there are some of these level 2 chargers in the county that have been installed through grants, NYSERDA grants and others over the past several years. And I think the results have been mixed, in terms of people's experiences. So I think one thing is to connect with folks in those towns about those experiences and how to learn those lessons so that the next ones that go in are more effective. Susan, let's talk about and Don, let's talk offline about how we can help to promote these discussions that are outside of the fast charger kind of priority county mapping and effort, because I do think that's really an important conversation. A lot of questions that you asked, Susan, that we can't just like answer right now, obviously, but we should follow up on. Steve.
Hi. So New Lebanon will be doing an assessment in the next couple months with a Cornell student to look for potential level 3 locations in town. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Great. We're hoping, like New Lebanon typically does on these things, that you beat us to the punch and you have checked off one of our priority spots before we get much further along. So Steve, the bar is very high up there in New Lebanon, but we're excited to hear about your progress there. So let's, as a follow-up, let's have this. Let's continue to have this. Susan, Don, and I will touch base to talk about more specifically what we think might be useful for communicating out to some of these towns for more level 2 discussions. Bringing in, the last thing I'll say is bringing in the the providers, the utilities, and the other kind of outreach that's going on this fast charger discussion will also, potentially open opportunities for those installers to do some level twos in the towns if they're, ready, willing, and able. So, so it's totally relevant to this conversation. It's just a separate exercise. So I don't know if we have anything else. I think that's it on the fast charging. The website is next. Don has something to show you.
Yeah, okay, sure. All right, get that one up here now. Share. Window. Okay. So I have, what I've done is I've taken all the content that is now in the EMC website that pertain to our task force, copied it over into a new website, added a new little home landing page here, tweaked it a little bit. And so this is what I've got right now. All right. So this is still still a draft, likely to change. I have a little landing page, just says, a little welcome message, little area to post some news and announcements. Just thinking that, the first thing you're going to see when you get to the website, what are the things that the reader is going to want to find, most likely want to look for. So news and announcements, little welcome message with some links to other things. I have a little calendar of events, because I know a few folks have asked about sharing information about what the local CSCs have been doing. So if your local task force or committee has regular meetings and want to add it to the calendar, or a special event that they want to add to the calendar, we could add it here. Just a little graphic that says we're now bronze certified. A few other pages, like a little who we are page that lists the members, where we're from, a little map of the state of all the currently active communities, bronze certified or registered. A little explanation of what we do that explains the program. What is this Climate Smart Communities program all about? I've added something I have added is a how you can help page, because this was something that the state CSC program said was missing from our website, and we did not get, although we got bronze, enough points to get bronze, we did not get credit for our website because they said this information was missing from the website. I don't think it was. I think it may have been like spread over a few pages, but now I kind of put it all in one spot. So, because that's just something that the state was looking for. Meetings page, different pages for each of our active projects that we can link to. So we have a page for the greenhouse gas inventory, the benchmarking, our alt fuel infrastructure projects, etc. Another page with special events such as the Climate Carnival. We can post municipal events. So this is just a straight copy off what we already have on the EMC website. Municipal events, community group events, links to each of the communities that are in the county that are registered or bronze certified under the program, with live links to out to each community's website for more information. So that's where I'm at right now. I have also added placeholders for Facebook page, Instagram accounts, and the YouTube channel. There's nothing on there yet. I think that's one of the things that I have to would like to talk to a few folks about, I've talked to Sherry Franks a little bit about this and a little bit about with Patrice about how do we handle these, post these updates to Facebook and or Instagram or whatever, one of the things is the county has no real policy about what we can or should post on these accounts. So we kind of have to feel that out a little bit. And I would like to, Sherry Franks has a lot of experience with making these websites for other county agencies. So I'd like to talk to her a little bit more about the finer details of what she posts on those social media accounts. But other than that, I think it's
great.
the text is there, the content's there. Could use a little flash with some graphics and photos and whatever. But
Yeah, we can help with that. I mean, first of all, this is great step forward. It's looks good, it's organized, and it has more information well presented than we had previously. So it's a great step forward. We're also going to change the URL. When this goes live, it will go to the, tell us what it is again, climate.
I'll email it to everyone. It's climatesmart.columbiacountiny.com.
And that's not live yet, right?
No, but I did check with the MIS department, and that URL is available. Doesn't cost the county anything to set that subdomain to point to this website once it gets published and live. Yeah.
Don, is this what we're looking at here? Can you send a link to people for people to, is that possible for people to look at it on their own time and give you feedback?
One of the
right.
Yeah, one of the requirements that I did get some feedback from the supervisors, they want a county employee to be the editor for the website and for these social media accounts. And one of the quirks with Google Sites is I can't share this with anyone unless they are an editor of the website. So if someone wants to take a look at it and go over it with me one-on-one, I can certainly do that, but I'm a little hesitant to just publish it and share it with everyone right now, but I will I will share it. If someone
you can't
wants
share it without giving people editor function.
Right now. Yes.
Could you make I don't know if this is possible, but could you make a copy of it and that copy gets sent out? People have editor function, but everyone agrees not to do anything other than read it. I don't know if that makes any sense. And then, if there is a problem, if someone does do something, it's just a copy and it goes down and we just delete it. Is that worth it? I don't know how many people want to take a close look at this and provide feedback. If no one's going to, it's not worth the trouble. We do need, and so I'll ask that question in a minute to see if there's any real strong interest. You can speak up, but if not, we won't do that. We'll just post it and people can give comments once it's live. But we do need we do need help. Like we need to improve the content. We need more any kind of news and announcements that come to mind need to be brought to Don so he can get them up there. If there's some written element to it, help drafting things for posting up here to give to Don, also helpful. So this is an interactive group exercise. We are responsible collectively to bring content to Don, and he can get it up there and post it. Similarly, and so like how you can help, that kind of page probably needs some help and could use more ideas. The more the better. I mean, we're not going to just throw everything up there. We want it to be presentable, but and comprehensible. But those ideas are really good. So as you look through this, and maybe we just go live, Don. Now I'm thinking about it, and we just go from there.
Well, what I'm thinking, I'll take one more long look at it, and I can just publish it like within the next few days or next week or whatever. Then everybody can look at it without having that editor access.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then
just some feedback.
That's great, Don. And then I mean, it's very close. I mean, it has all of the
Yeah.
elements we need. It just needs, probably additional content for sure, and perhaps some cleaning up or suggestions on how we could convey things better. Photos and any other ideas for presentation also are encouraged. The calendar, I know, Jennifer, you have your hand up, but just one question I had is the calendar is a function that a lot of folks like at the EMC have talked about. What we should have some sort of centralized, and maybe the news section as well, centralized forum for all of our various committees, task forces, and efforts throughout the county to post things in one place, one-stop shopping. And I think that that is something if it will only be useful if we're all using it, or there's a critical mass of people who are using it. So I strongly encourage you to send information to Dawn and connect anyone in your towns or anyone in the county outside of this group that are actively working on issues. It doesn't need to be just climate smart. As long as it's related, we should be posting it. So of course we'll post things around like those listening sessions and the Heat Smart campaign in Valatia, at the library, the CARP listening sessions, but big events, our meetings, but we should have every meeting on here. Every town meeting should be on here. So if someone's really active, they can find information here. So the more, the better. We're not looking to develop a master environment website here. This is the Climate Smart program, and this is what we're doing. But we can, for the calendar and for the calendar news events, we can add things that go a little further outside of the direct purview of the CSC program. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope we all use it actively. Please pass this along. When it goes live, you can send the link to folks in your town and just say, with Don's email address, this is the person to submit information to if you want something posted. Jennifer.
Yeah, I don't know what the standard procedure is, but do you guys send emails to all the town climate smart task force so that they know what's going on? I mean, because is that something you would have already done about this, or that would be a way to get every little town to say, oh yeah, I know, I can put stuff up there?
Yeah, haven't yet, but I think that's certainly something we plan on doing, is to email all the local task force and ask them, if they want their monthly meetings posted on the calendar, or, so
Or other events.
Yeah, once this is live, we will definitely reach out to all of them.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, and that's a great suggestion, Jennifer. And we'll definitely be communicating through the EMC, through these groups. We have a list. We have a pretty sizable list from the Climate Carnival work, which goes well beyond, which at some point we can use to just promote this, and also solicit suggestions for things we can post or content we can add that goes beyond CSC groups.
Anyway, great job, Don. It really looks nice.
Totally. Steve.
Yes, I concur. Excellent job, Don. I know it was a lot of work, and there'll be a lot more work too if you have to maintain it yourself.
Well, it was easier than it looks, to be honest.
Yeah,
It was, the content was there. I copied, pasted, changed the colors and fonts a little bit, and it wasn't really that much.
One thing I was going to say is until the supervisors have developed a social media policy, you might want to drop the icons for Facebook and the other stuff up there, because this is, at least in our town, the policy is that we can have a Facebook page, but residents are not allowed to comment on it.
Right. Yeah. No, I already have comments turned off on everything, for sure. Yeah.
But there's no Facebook actual page, right?
Well, it is. I have a placeholder set up for it. It's not.
You just have a placeholder. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, you can't, if that's going to be the policy, it has to be a Facebook group, not a page, because the group allows you to turn off and modify or deny any comments on there.
Mhm.
Just an FYI.
Yeah, the social media piece is interesting, because, you know, that only works if there's really continuous content.
Right.
Generally, I mean, Facebook is a little different. It can be used more as like a kind of a website, with less content, just basic stuff. But I mean, all that stuff just is driven by, this website's very important. It's a repository of information. It's got all of our meetings. It's got current projects, future projects. That's a little more static. I mean, it changes over time. Some of the elements are much more dynamic, the calendar, the news, and that also needs to be driven by continuous content if it's going to be relevant. But so the website, you know, is one thing. The social media, and if we're going to embark on it, you kind of have to use it, or else it's pointless, in my opinion. So, and we'll have to figure out how we want to, you know,
Yeah.
how we
Well,
want
I
to.
think initially it's just, if we make a change to the website, we just post a notice to Facebook. I mean,
Yeah, that's easy.
yeah, that's the way I would
That's-
use it initially. Simply as that.
But like, you know, it's kind of sad to look at like an Instagram account with very few members or followers and very few posts. And, you know, it's like, it doesn't make you look good. It's not a good look just to have social media if it's not being used. So, I think we bite off what we can chew well, and don't try to just do it because we're trying to check boxes.
Right.
I like the Facebook idea. Plus, Facebook's generally for older people, and it seems to be, and you know, and that is maybe a lot of our constituency, and it's another way for people to get information if they're not going to our website. But if we want to do something else, then we need content providers. You know, we need people to say, oh yeah, I'm going to submit a lot of pictures and ideas for posts and stories. I don't know if anyone else has any other thoughts on this, but I just want to say, Don, once again, thank you. Great work here. Great work on the EV mapping, the technical proficiency, and the diligence and the efficiency. Productivity here is great. Just moving us ahead. So it's appreciated. The last thing we want to talk about, really quick update. I think it's very quick, right, Don? The fleet inventory efficiency policy right sizing. And I guess we could also update on, I mean, just the fact that we continue to, Don is continuing to work on the greenhouse gas inventory for the municipal government for Columbia County. But I mean, other than that, I don't think there's an update there. Is there an update on the fleet, or it's a work in progress, right?
Yes, I just, I've talked to a few of the county supervisors, including Jim Guzzi from Livingston, who is the chair of the fleet maintenance committee for the county. He had strong interest in updating this inventory, getting it all together, and looking at least a draft of a fleet efficiency policy. It's something the county's been talking about for a number of years, and I think they recognize that change is coming and they want to be prepared for it. But yeah, I got some strong positive feedback from the supervisors that I've talked to so far about this. So they have, and I've talked to, well, haven't talked to them yet, but I believe the mileage information, Jim said, Supervisor Guzzi said that the mileage information that was missing from the spreadsheets I have is probably available at the central garage, because they record that mileage every time they do any kind of maintenance to the vehicles. So I can probably get that from them. I have to follow up with that. And again, Supervisor Guzzi asked to put together some kind of a draft policy document, pulling from those samples that I had posted last month. So that's where we're at.
Don, do you need, I assume the answer is going to be yes, but do you need help with that aspect of it?
If someone
you
wants
like
help, yes, I think, again, the emphasis is going to be on, simple, straightforward, short and to the point. Again, some of those policies are 8 pages long, some are 1-pagers. And, my sense is that the county would prefer a short and simple policy, something that means something, yes, but isn't overly cumbersome to implement. So
Yeah, I agree
we
with
could
you.
put together a draft.
And I'll certainly give you a hand on that.
Yeah.
But then we can share that with the group. I just love the fact that we live in a place where we're focused on moving forward. I mean, we're not moving the sun and the moon here, but we're doing what we can do within our framework. There's a lot of good reception we're getting from people across the county government and governments within the county, and we're focused on the issues at hand, the facts, and not getting involved in distractions, and therefore we can make progress. I'm glad to hear that there's a great reception that you're getting when you talk about things like being proactive and planning what fleets are going to look like in the future, and that's, to me, common sense. It sounds like that's the broad consensus, that it's common sense, and the more we can operate that way and make this steady progress. It's not flashy, but it's what makes change. So this is why this work is so important, and just want to say thank you once again, everyone here. So our next meeting is on July 6th, and I was going to ask for any other additional comments or questions before we adjourn. John?
Yeah, I think all of you received a notice that we had planned and executed a native plants and gardening event last Saturday, and it was organized by Katie Flamia, our Climate Smart co-chair, and had 6 panelists from around the county. Peter Mawaka, Tim Canelti, real just terrific people. Anyway, so we were pleasantly surprised because we had over 110 people show up, and we produced a video. We videoed it, and it's now available. And if people are interested, we could send it out through the task force, through Maureen, or we'll also give you some links. And we also had there's a number of takeaways that were, I think, very relevant for the kinds of stuff we're doing. One, we worked with several other climate smarts, especially Taconic, but others were involved, and a lot of people promoted the event. So I mean, I don't know where people came from, but 110 is a pretty good show. And we did it as a follow-up from the Talami videos and Taconic, and then our Earth Day, and a number of places have shown that. And we also published I published an article on INBI explaining that we got to do more than just rely on infrastructure investment. We really need to restore our ecosystems, and that's, in my mind, that's got to be a critical emphasis of climate smarts, and it's also not controversial. In any case, it was a remarkable event and had a lot of coordination, and we want to work with other towns in doing things like this. And the stuff that Don's working on the website is really critical, because as we try to fill out our website, and we're trying to find ways of interrelating plus reaching out to our community, these tools are great. So the role of the county, of both the EMC and the task force, the county task force, I think we're very helpful in this event and in promoting this additional strategy that doesn't depend upon infrastructure and government policy, but engages. I mean, people get enthusiastic about this stuff. It's really
Yep.
pretty cool. So we'll send it out.
Great. Thank you, John. And I did hear from a few people. I wasn't able to attend, unfortunately, but I did hear from a few people who did, that it was a great event. So good job there, and plant native plants.
Credit
Plants.
to Katie Flamia, our architect and co-chair.
Okay, Bruce has his hand up before we depart.
Just a quick thing. We're having a repair cafe, Chatham Firehouse on Saturday, the 24th of June, 10 to 2. The publicity will be going out soon, but just wanted everybody to be aware if they
Nice.
can do anything for it.
Those are great events, by the way. If you happen to have something to come, just grab something to fix because they're fun. You end up hanging out. It's a cafe. You hang out, you talk to people. It's a good social event. If getting like-minded people together. So they're really great. Bruce has organized many of them. So thanks, Bruce. All right. Stay well, and let's hope we get some rain. And hang in there. And we'll see you soon. Appreciate everyone's involvement.